Hello everyone, and welcome to Season 8, Episode 1 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we start a brand new countdown, counting down the top 50 matches of 2022 with match number 50 on our list, which is the Anything Goes match between Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville from WWE WrestleMania 38 Night 2, held on April the 3rd of 2022. I've said it before on this program, comedy wrestling is definitely not my favorite style. It's never really something that's worked with me outside of, the occasional rare exceptions. The first time, I saw an Ebison match, I laughed. And there were some Chikara matches throughout the years that made me laugh. And, there's been little glimpses here and there. But for the most part, that's not what I look for in my wrestling. Nothing against those that do. But all of that being said, this is one of the most enjoyable matches all year long. It is the definition of the word fun to me when it comes to wrestling. It's got elements of comedy. It's got wild spots. It's got a great big, over-the-top, theatrical WrestleMania feel to all of it. It is, in my opinion, one of the best celebrity matches ever done. And it is an absolute feather in the cap of, the career of one of the most talented professional wrestlers of this generation, Sami Zayn. The fact that he, was an absolute master in, leading this match along. And I don't want to call it a one-man show because, Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass guys, they did a really good job. But this really is the Sami Zayn, show in this match. I was never a big Jackass fan, when it was super relevant and popular, 1999, 2000, whenever it really started to get rolling. I found it stupid. I don't know, it wasn't for me. I certainly knew all the Jackass guys through pop culture, but I wasn't really a fan. That said, when they were getting ready to do the Jackass Forever movie, they actually had the Jackass guys on Shark Week. My wife and I watched that. I found them all, really likable, and I found the whole thing really endearing. So, it did kind of make me a little bit more interested in this match through Shark Week of all things than I would have been otherwise. I was a little bit bitter for this one, though. So the build for this match, it really started, up toward the Royal Rumble. Johnny Knoxville had been advertised as a participant in the Royal Rumble. Every year I participate or run a Royal Rumble pool. And of course, because why wouldn't I, the wrestler that I got in the 2022 Royal Rumble was Johnny Knoxville. So obviously I knew that I wasn't going to be walking away with a nice cold lump of cash in my pocket. So a little bit of bitterness for me there, but they did a really fun job building this up. They had, Johnny Knoxville talking all sorts of crap to Sami Zayn leading into the Rumble. Sami Zayn eliminating Knoxville in the Rumble, basically saying that he had no place in the WWE. This would lead to this back and forth where Sami would almost in a way kind of become obsessed with Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass guys, crashing their movie premiere. They did like an angle where Johnny Knoxville publicly gave out Sami Zayn's phone number. That led to Sami Zayn getting harassed by fans and people, all of the time. Johnny Knoxville cost Sami Zayn his Intercontinental Championship against Ricochet, and it led to this big Anything Goes match. Like I said, Sami Zayn is absolutely phenomenal in this match. For one, he beats the absolute crap out of Johnny Knoxville and all of the Jackass guys, and to their credit, they take everything really well. Like I said, he is so good with his character work. Sami is somebody that when he was on the Independents, I talk so much about physical charisma. Here was a guy that, was part of his gimmick, didn't really speak English at all, that, wore a mask, but just through his body was able to convey so much emotion and draw so much emotion from the crowd. And I said this, that, when he ultimately became Sami Zayn, that increased even more with him being able to, use his language and use his facial expressions that, were masked previously. So he's so good here, just drawing the ire of the huge crowd for WrestleMania, so good. All of the little things he does so well. Right at the bell, he just blasts Johnny Knoxville with the Yakuza kick, which was just such a great opening to this match. Continuing on, you don't deserve to be here kind of storyline that they were running through the Rumble. He taunts the Jackass crew at ringside. He's so good at that. I remember, way back when, IWS, my kind of home promotion in Canada at the time, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they turned heel and they had this match. It's actually probably my favorite match in IWS history against the Flying Hurricanes. There's a deep cut if you're not sure who the Kenny the Bastard and Taka O, the Flying Hurricanes are. But they had this match in 2005 at IWS Devil Night. And I love it so much. If you can find it out online, I highly recommend that you do so. They actually wrestled a match with 2 ropes because the ring broke earlier. But Zayn and Owens, they do this amazing entrance where they just walk through the crowd, and they started using Ain't It Fun by Guns N' Roses as their entrance music, which was so good. And they basically just dare every member of the audience to fight them, and it's so intense. And Sami Zayn, gives me like a little glimmer of that in this match where he's at ringside, like taunting the Jackass guys, telling them all to fight him. And of course, that leads to Johnny Knoxville getting an opening with the old trusty fire extinguisher. And hijinks really ensue from that point forward. They do so many gags in this match. Sami Zayn pulls a table up from underneath the ring that's got mouse traps all over it, and of course does an excellent job, selling his fingers on the mouse traps and stuff like that. It allows, Johnny Knoxville to get these little openings and things like that. But ultimately, he ends up eating an exploder suplex through a table in the corner. Props to Johnny Knoxville for taking that bump. It looked great. We get, a tease of the haluva kick, but an air horn stops it and, gets in Sami Zayn's ears. We get Chris Pontius, Party Boy, stripping and dancing, which leads to Johnny Knoxville getting a schoolboy for a pretty hot 2 count. We get, the old Hornswoggle spot, but with Wee Man underneath the ring. And he, bites Sami Zayn's nose and just starts potatoing him with these punches. And the whole thing is so great. And of course, Sami Zayn just kicks the shit out of him with a short Yakuza kick. I'm laughing, even just visualizing it in my head at this point. They do all of these great little gags. They do a bowling ball to the groin spot. They do a low blow with this like motorized foot thing that swings through and kicks Sami in the crotch. Sami gets stopped by like pyrotechnics going off on the top rope. The spot of this match by far is when Sami Zayn bails out of the ring when Johnny Knoxville gets a taser and runs into like this giant fake hand that just like slaps Sami, and he takes such an amazing bump off of it. It's so good. I criticize WWE camera work so often for all of their cuts and things like that, but they did such a good job of like kind of keeping the hand out of screen, so it just swings right into the frame of the shot. It's really great stuff. He ends up getting his groin grabbed with a pair of tongs from Knoxville and gets thrown off the top rope through the mousetrap table on the floor, which is just like a crazy like death match bump in the middle of this match, which is nuts. He ends up getting tasered, gets hooked under a giant mousetrap, which looks like it's going to be a disaster, but thankfully the contraption works, and that's enough for the 3 count. Sami Zayn picks up the loss, Johnny Knoxville gets the great crowd-pleasing win, but really this match was not about the wins and losses. There's these times when performers kind of get to go out there and they're given leeway to do a really special match. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous, that of all of the great matches of Sami Zayn's career, that this is the one that I really feel was this. But here was, WWE taking a celebrity promotional match that, they've done these so many times, over the years, especially at WrestleMania, but entrusting one of the most talented performers ever to do something special. And that's exactly what happened here. This match is an absolute blast. Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass guys, like I said, they played their parts wonderfully, but this was really an all-time performer from Sami Zayn, flying all over the place, being a jerk, getting heat, beating the crap out of these guys, taking wild bumps. It's everything you could want out of an enjoyable pro wrestling match, and maybe this wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but like I said, for someone like me that normally a match like this isn't really my cup of tea, I enjoyed this so much more than I could even describe. It was definitely the highlight of night 2 of WrestleMania. Night 1 of WrestleMania I thought was a super fun, really good show. Night 2 I thought was an absolute disaster, and this match, really stuck out on that card for me. Ultimately, based on my enjoyment alone, I could justify this match being a lot higher on the ranking. But again, if I kind of look at my own personal criteria for how I rank these lists, I didn't really feel right putting it any higher than 50, but I knew it had to be included. The match is so much fun. You can, of course, watch it on Peacock, the WWE Network, if you're outside of the United States. And I do believe it is available for free on YouTube as well. And if that's the case, I will link it on my Twitter account. Speaking of Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube if you haven't already. And please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.